It was a dark and stormy night in the small town of Maplewood. Detective John Smith had just finished dinner when his phone rang. It was the police chief informing him of a murder at the local mansion owned by the wealthy businessman Mr. Edward Gray. Detective Smith arrived at the mansion to find a group of anxious guests and servants gathered in the living room. Mr. Gray was lying on the floor, his lifeless body covered in blood. The room was in complete disarray, with furniture overturned and shattered glass scattered everywhere. The detective questioned the guests and servants, but no one seemed to have seen or heard anything out of the ordinary. The only clue he found was a single red rose petal near Mr. Gray's body. As the investigation progressed, Detective Smith learned that Mr. Gray had recently changed his will, leaving his entire fortune to his young fiancée, Sarah. He had also discovered that Sarah had been having an affair with the butler, James, who had a motive for killing Mr. Gray. However, the detective's suspicions were soon redirected when he learned that Mr. Gray's business partner, Mark, had also been at the mansion that night. Mark had been in financial trouble and stood to gain a large sum of money from Mr. Gray's death. As the investigation continued, Detective Smith uncovered a complex web of lies, deceit, and betrayal. He eventually pieced together the puzzle and revealed the true killer. Sarah and Mark had conspired to kill Mr. Gray, with Sarah luring him into the living room and Mark bludgeoning him to death with a vase. In the end, justice was served and the guilty parties were brought to justice, but the memory of the murder lingered in Maplewood, a reminder that even in the quietest of towns, darkness can lurk in unexpected places.